Hey, what's going on everyone? It's Justin here and welcome to my review of the OPPO R7 Plus, the biggest smartphone I have ever reviewed. For starters, let's get these specs out of the way. This features a giant 6-inch display which has a full HD resolution. It is powered by a Snapdragon 615 processor with 3 gigs of RAM and features a 13 megapixel rear-facing camera with the capability of recording 1080p video. So let's just start out by saying that this isn't really meant to be the flagship smartphone, nor is it a mid-line smartphone. I would say it fits just between the mid and flagship range. As you would expect, the device is massive, coming in at over 6 inches in height and 3.23 inches wide by 7.8 millimeters thin. OPPO also claims that the device has gone through a 48-step process in polishing the metal on the back. And from looking at the device, it is just so smooth, seam-lined, and it seems like every small detail has been touched on to perfection. Ports and buttons are pretty standard, and the device itself features a monstrous 4100 mAh battery under the hood. You're also going to find a fingerprint sensor located on the back, and I found it to be in a pretty good spot, though at times it may be hard to reach. The fingerprint sensor itself was very fast and responsive, and it is something that I definitely use. So let's spend some time talking about the display. The OPPO R7 Plus features a giant 6-inch display, and I did expect it to have a QHD resolution of 2560 by 1440 for example, but it actually features a full HD display with the PPI of 367. Though some of you may think I'm complaining about this, it actually isn't a bad thing at all. I have nothing to really complain about the display, and it is pretty obvious that you're not going to get that pop factor, and the display wasn't by any means impressive, but it was very good. The bezels on the smartphone are also extremely thin, and that is a great thing as well. Though it would have been nice if the device was also offered in a black color option. Looking at the screen, it is an AMOLED display with 16 million colors, as well as Corning Gorilla Glass 3 to protect it. The colors as a whole were very vibrant, and the screen was definitely bright enough. However, if you compare it to something like the Samsung Galaxy Note 5, there is just no competition. That being said, with this 1920 by 1080 resolution display and a 4100 mAh battery paired up with the Snapdragon 615 processor, you're going to get an impressive battery life on this smartphone. And I'm going to be talking about that later in this video. The OPPO R7 Plus runs Android 5.1 Lollipop and the ColorOS 2.1 by OPPO. If you may remember from my reviews earlier this year on OPPO devices, I wasn't the biggest fan of OPPO's ColorOS. It was very simple, and I wasn't a huge fan of the ways the icons look, but that was just personal opinion. But in terms of how it functions, it works very well, very responsive. Really my only major complaint is the fact that there isn't an app drawer, which I've been very used to on Android devices of course. Your notification tab stays pretty standard with some quick toggle settings on the top which you can also expand, as well as a brightness control, your music player. And the settings are very clean and everything is where you need it to be in order to access it easily. So although it isn't my favorite skin on a smartphone, at least OPPO does pre-root the devices and offer a whole series of ROMs to suit your liking. So I'll more than likely be flashing CyanogenMod on this smartphone. When it came to the gaming performance, I wasn't sure if the Snapdragon 615 processor was capable enough, especially in this 6-inch display, because I haven't actually tested out a smartphone this year with that processor. That being said though, as soon as I booted up Real Racing 3, it did a very good job and I didn't notice any issues at all. The device itself also didn't heat up, but the major complaint I have in terms of media consumption is that the speakers aren't really that good on the OPPO R7 Plus. When it comes to the cameras, the OPPO R7 Plus features a 13 megapixel rear-facing sensor and 8 megapixels on the front. One little gripe though, in my opinion, is I wish the smartphone had the capability to record 4K video, though it may not be as big of a deal for some. The camera was okay. In some well-lit shots, as you can see here, it was able to capture a pretty solid image, but some of them were really over-processed and I noticed quite a bit of noise as well. On the other hand, I tried the front-facing camera in some different situations and it just looked absolutely awful. When it came to the video quality, it wasn't awful, but it also wasn't impressive in any way. I have to say, when it comes to the camera as a whole, I was somewhat disappointed and I would kind of describe the whole experience as mediocre. So now on to the battery life, which might be the biggest talk about this smartphone aside from the fact it's got a 6-inch display. The battery is 4100 mAh and OPPO historically has done an amazing job in terms of battery, not only in the battery itself and its capacities, but the way it's optimized, but most importantly, their VOOC fast charging technology, which is amazing. It is one of the best fast charging technologies I have tested, and it gets you 2 hours of talk time on just 5 minutes of charge. Aside from the 4100 mAh battery, the 1080p display, and a Snapdragon 615 processor, seemingly giving you a great battery life on your smartphone, you also have a super power saving mode, kind of like what we've seen on Samsung and HTC devices, as well as an auto activation and data saving mode. So if you're someone who needs the best battery life possible on a smartphone, the OPPO R7 Plus is something you should definitely look into. So up to now, you can see I've been very happy with my experience of the OPPO R7 Plus. From its unibody design to its large display, which is great for media consumption, and of course that impressive battery life that I just talked about. One huge drawback on this seemingly marathoner media consumption device is the speakers are absolutely awful. Not only are they located on the back, but they were extremely tinny and not as loud as many of the other smartphones I have tested this year, so that is quite disappointing. But other than that, thanks for watching my review of the OPPO R7 Plus, and this is an absolutely massive smartphone, so for people who enjoy large smartphones and need something with impressive battery, this is definitely a great option from OPPO and features many of the modern day technologies you expect from a smartphone. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that like button as it helps the channel out as always, and I'll see you all in the next video.